Hey everyone, and welcome to another Game Explain discussion. So this morning we got a brand new trailer showcasing the next update in Animal Crossing New Horizons, and it got Tris and I thinking more about kind of the state of New Horizons as a whole right now, as it seems like what was shown in the trailer is pretty much just about all we can expect from this update in particular, but the trailer also teased the next update, which is coming in March, which happens to mark 1 year since the game itself released. So we specifically want to talk a bit about that and what we hope to see in that update in particular, given as we are now closing out the first year of the game's lifetime. Which, I can't believe it's already been a year. That's kind of wild.
It has gone so fast.
Yeah, it really has. But Tris, after the trailer today, how are you feeling about New Horizons in general and what the state of it is kind of right now as we approach the end of its first year?
I think it's wild to look back at what the game released as. So, the 1.0 version of the game. And to now look at it, see how much has been added since then. There's been so much, and while
has been a lot.
While this update for Festival, I think it's just Festival.
Festivale? I don't know how to say it. Yeah, that's how I said it in my head, but that might be totally wrong.
with how this one particular update feels on the smaller side, but that's not a bad thing because we've gotten that throughout the many months of updates. Some of them are much more grand in scale, like adding in swimming. And then some of them, like Bunny Day, are just more small themed things going on. And I think that's okay. This is kind of in the middle of things, in the middle of winter. I mean, I can't think of what else they would do during this time unless they want to celebrate Valentine's Day, and it's not part of the normal stuff.
True.
So
yeah.
I think this works. And to have something small like this, I think, is fair. It kind of balances out, too, because I think if we had too many big updates every single time, it would just constantly set expectations way too high.
That's true. That's a good point. And I also think we just recently had the Toy Day and the New Year's celebrations, and those were pretty extensive. They kind of changed the whole look and feel of your island, and so it does make sense that this one is a bit on the smaller side. There's really not a whole lot going on here, at least from what we can judge from the trailer. But I do think that, let me know if you agree with me on this, but I feel like the March update, given as, it's kind of going to be an anniversary update almost, it'll have been a year, I feel like that update in particular is going to be very telling of kind of what we can expect from the future of New Horizons and updates and just kind of how much Nintendo, how much effort they really want to put into keeping this game alive. I think that update, it's going to be pretty telling of that. Do you kind of agree?
Yeah, I completely agree. That's going to be the 1 year anniversary, and there's going to be a lot that they can do there. And I mean, since that update focuses on adding the Mario content, which we learned back in... Oh gosh, we learned that back in September now. Wow. And then they just kind of reiterated it today. But considering older Animal Crossing games like New Leaf had like Mario and other Nintendo content in terms of like decorations from the get-go, this game was lacking that, and that very much stood out to people. So if we're getting a content update that's focused on that, I think we can get a nice blowout of new content that may surpass just how much you would get from the last few updates. Like Toy Day, you get a lot of like new DIY recipes and a lot of new decorations for your house and island.
Right.
And this may surpass that if they're adding all these Mario things in at once.
Yeah, just kind of a more general just content upgrade. It's not really themed around a holiday or anything. It's just kind of, hey, here's more stuff in the game, hopefully.
I just thought, though, they could theme it around a holiday. Mario Day.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Like, they could bring, they can just... So we already know they could do this kind of thing thanks to, like, New Leaf having some of the Splatoon-themed characters and the Zelda-themed characters where they outright had a Ganon as a villager. Bring in Bowser or something, and he's just there for Mario Day. You have to catch like
awesome.
little decorations themed like Mario and Luigi or something. Catch them with your net.
Man.
Give them to Bowser.
That would be like the perfect end to Mario's anniversary too, or the 35th anniversary. It's March, it's the end. And that would be such a great way to conclude it. Mario Day, just a full Mario blowout in New Horizons. That would be very cool.
Since we don't know when this is happening in March, we just know it's March. I think that would actually be a really fun way for them to really add in all the content at a time that makes sense.
For sure.
Instead of like, on the day Mario dies at the end of March, adding in all this stuff in memoriam.
Yeah. So as you mentioned earlier, it is pretty interesting looking back, seeing it's kind of easy to forget how much has been added to the game since March of 2020.
Yep.
But at the same time, I do think there are quite a few things that, if I think back to myself in March 2020, like I would have thought would be added by the end of the year, that we still actually don't have, that I think we could potentially get in this March update. So I think that sort of leads into, Tris, you and I both, I think we've sort of put together some ideas for what we hope to see from this March update in particular, because it seems as though we kind of know what to expect from this current update that we're getting.
Yeah.
But the March one could be big. So we've put together some ideas, and that's sort of been my criteria, like the things that I would have assumed we would get by the end of the game's first year, that we still haven't gotten, or at least the things that, for me, would really kind of revamp the experience and make it just more exciting to go back to the game. So, Tris, do you kind of want to start? We can just kind of go down the list. I don't know how many you have or anything, but we can start with the first thing that you just kind of hope to see from this update.
Yeah, sure. The first thing I have written in all caps is Cap'n, because he's strangely missing from this game. And I still want to know what that dock that every island has just off to the side somewhere is for, because I don't think it's just meant for you to dive off of to go swimming. And I know in past games, Cap'n has like a little boat. I think New Leaf was the one where he had a boat that would dock at, the docks down at the beach, and he would take you to like a minigame island. And I would love if they had that here, where there was some sort of minigame island you can do with your friends that everyone can go to. Maybe they have to go to your island and then you all depart together or something. But I think that would be something fun to do, because this game, while we have artificial forms of the bug off and the fishing competition that you can host yourself without the special characters, we don't really have too much in the ways of minigames that past games have had.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, I've actually seen a lot of pretty creative solutions online for people kind of making games on their island that they can do with friends, but that aren't necessarily built into the game itself.
Right.
So I definitely agree with you there, and that sort of leads into one of my hopes as well, which isn't necessarily about Captain in particular, but it sort of solves, I think, a similar problem that the game has, where it's lacking minigames and activities and fun things you can do with your friends. And I do think you can get creative and come up with things to do on your island, but the game doesn't really give you the tools or just any kind of reason to want to do that. Your friends will come to your island and you just kind of walk around and maybe you're talking to each other, but that's pretty much it. So one of the ideas I had is potentially like a new app on the Nook phone called Games and Activities or something like that. And if you have friends over at your island, you can basically open up that app and you'll see kind of a list of activities that you can do. So for example, you can press play hide and seek, and it'll teleport everyone to your main town square, and it'll present you with just kind of a rundown of what's going to happen. And there's a timer or something, but basically just the game itself really wouldn't have to change much. It's not like they'd have to change much about the gameplay,
right?
But just games like that take your island, they don't need to add anything to it, but just it gives you a structure to do more things with your friends, like hide and seek or tag, or maybe even like the Nintendo Land minigame where, it'll throw a ton of candy or fruit throughout your island, and then, two people have to go and grab this amount of fruit, and then two other people they have to go catch the other people before they find the candy, whatever. Just like activities like that, I think could be a lot of fun, and not much would have to change about the game itself. It's just a matter of kind of promoting that creativity, and giving players a reason to kind of think outside of the box, because there's a lot you can do with everything that New Horizons gives. I think that could be cool, basically.
Yeah, I really like the idea of it being a new app on the Nook phone. Not just because it's like, hey, Nintendo's mobile games are now in the main game, but I think there's a lot that they could do with that if it was like a little hub where you, whether it's each game as an individual icon, which they could do, or it's games and more and it opens up another menu and you just start up whichever one. This could also be a neat way to bring back some of the older minigames too. Like I think New Leaf, when they did the Amiibo update, I think it had Puzzle League in it. And that could be something that you could do to challenge a friend. I think you could play that with a friend. So that could actually be neat as a way to do it, where if you have, you could challenge another player on your island to it. It would just be difficult if someone disconnects during it, obviously. But there's a lot that could do with exploring minigames like that, and I really like that idea too. It makes it really accessible. Instead of needing to go somewhere specific, you just bring up the Nook phone.
Yeah, and I think it'd be pretty easy to implement too. It wouldn't take a lot. Well, I don't know how games are made, but I think that'd just be a simple, fun way to kind of bring in some new activities you can do with your friends on your island without really having to change much. So
Agreed.
Just provide the structure for it. So, all right, what's your next hope?
So my next hope is a little bit more broad, but I hope we get more new villagers. And I say this because we kind of know that we are. So I'm gonna talk a little bit here about the Sanrio collaboration that they announced on Twitter today, not in the trailer. So when Animal Crossing New Leaf introduced the Welcome Amiibo update, and they had a bunch of Amiibo, that was when they added the Zelda characters, Wolf Link, Epona, Medley, Ganon, as well as 2 squirrels representing Callie and Marie from Splatoon, and I think his name is Inkwell, an octopus to represent a squid from Splatoon. And so they had a whole bunch like that, but then they also had, in Japan, they had a collaboration with Sanrio, or also known as the Hello Kitty company. And they added 6 characters that the Amiibo cards had, it was their RVs. I don't know if you can get them to move in, but I know you could get a bunch of exclusive content from them. And today, Nintendo of America announced the Animal Crossing Sanrio collaboration is coming to the US for the first time. Strangely enough, it's exclusive to Target, but it says you can use these in compatible games. I assume that means New Leaf as well, since it was originally designed for it. But the cards, the pack for the cards, specifically says for use with New Horizons. And I really hope that means they're adding these Amiibo card characters as characters that you can bring into your island and have move in. Because that would say so much, and it would give me hope to getting Wolf Link back.
Oh, that would be awesome. I mean, if they're gonna do Hello Kitty or whatever it's called, you gotta do Zelda and Splatoon and because it's already there. You have them. It's just a matter of making them compatible.
And that's what makes me think here. So the Sanrio Pack comes out on March 26th, and I figured the March update will have to have hit by then at that point. So that's kind of telling them. So the March update confirmed before Mario dies. But what I want to see in addition to this, I mentioned a little bit earlier, I want to see Mario characters get added as villagers. We had the Zelda ones. They could do the Zelda ones later in the year when they celebrate Zelda's anniversary, and same for other series. True. But this March is finishing off Mario's anniversary. In addition to these Sanrio ones, give us some Mario ones. So get DK as one of the easiest villagers to do. They already have gorilla villagers. You just gotta add the tie on him.
Pretty much.
You can add Bowser over something. I'm sure they can find a way to make it work. Maybe a blooper for over the squid or the octopus type villager. And there's plenty of other Mario enemies that they can adapt into other kinds that can work. And they don't need to match up perfectly. Medley's a duck, and that kind of fits, but
sort of.
It's not quite accurate, but it's close enough that they could do so much with these, I think.
Oh, absolutely. That would be so much fun. And like you said, even if it doesn't match up, just the fact that they're trying it'd just be fun. It'd be fun to see what it's like, for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and that ties into the Mario stuff nicely too. I have a sort of similar idea about getting new villagers on the island. It doesn't necessarily tie into all the Mario celebrations though, but my idea was just, it sort of revolves around the camp system or the campsite.
Right.
Where I like the idea behind it, seeing new villagers, seeing new faces on your island, and at least in your first maybe few months of playing, actually potentially inviting those villagers to live on your island before it gets all filled up. But I think the campsite accomplishes that in a pretty dull and kind of unexciting way. Or at least there's a lot more they could do to bring villagers onto your island.
Right.
Because, one, villagers only come to the campsite every so often. And 2, even then I usually forget to check after a certain amount of time. And so my idea, it's pretty simple, really. I would just love to have villagers or animals come visit my island by the day, whether that be by boat or by plane, but they don't have to, stay at the campsite. They don't have to move onto my island permanently. Just have people stopping by and visiting and traveling almost like a vacation, for the day.
Yeah.
I think that'd be great. Like, just because I wake up and I walk around my island and it's all filled up. I've got, the max number of villagers, like I'm sure most people do by this point, but it still feels so quiet. And I like my villagers, but it'd be nice to see more new faces every once in a while.
Especially
without having to like kick my villagers off the island if they ask to leave,
Right. And especially since with the campsite, even though they're coming to see the island, they never leave the tent.
They never leave. They just sit there. Exactly. That's why I forget, actually, because, they're not like walking around or anything. Oh, that's so right.
I think something interesting that New Leaf did, I believe, was there was like the shopping district that you can go to. And I think that could actually get other visitors. I think they were exclusive to villagers that had moved out, coming back to visit. But even then, just the idea of there's a place where you can get different villagers that are not currently on your island coming to visit, that would be really nice.
It'd be great. And, I was trying to sort of expand this idea, too, into something a little more, I don't know, a little more game-like. Yeah. But, maybe there are certain items you can place on your island that are almost like activities. They're not really, but like the teacup ride, it's sort of like almost like an attraction. It's something fun. Maybe like the more of those types of items that you place throughout your island, like it's almost like you get tourist points or something akin to that. Ooh. Where the more kind of activities you have throughout your island, the more people want to come by every day, or animals, and visit and just kind of hang out, right? So if you have a dull, uninteresting island, then you won't get many villagers. But if you place all of those kind of items throughout it, like I'm trying to think of something else, but like vending machines, benches, just anything that kind of promotes activity, I think, maybe that could tie into how many visitors you get every day, almost like you're designing like a vacation place for villagers to come and see your island and hang out. That could be an interesting kind of correlation as well.
Yeah, and I think that could also be something, say, like you go up to Isabel, and maybe it's a setting you could turn on or off. Like, hey, do you want to open the island to visitors, or not online visitors, but open the island to visitors? NPCs. Like, are you designing this kind of island, or is it just a cozy home for you and the villagers already here?
Right. Yeah, you can decide if you want it to be a more kind of secluded, enclosed space like islands are now, or you can give the option to, invite like other villagers in. I think that's something that would be really fun.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know how likely that one is for at least a March update, but I do love the idea there where it really helps encourage you to look at other villagers and have them come in and see what you can do there. Because I think a lot of people, they might just get comfortable with the villagers that they get set, and then they never have them move out, kind of thing. So you don't really get to see other ones.
That's the way I am. I'll never let my villagers leave. As much as I hate them or whatever, it's like I'd feel so bad. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I definitely feel that though.
All right, what's your next hope, Tris?
Going on a little bit more with the Mario ones, because I mostly wrote in things for that, because that's Mario month, dang it.
Yeah, for sure.
Outside of bringing back a ton of decorations that we had in like New Leaf, like the spinning fire bar and the different items you can interact with, the warp pipe, and different silly things that make silly sound effects, I want to see more like that, especially from more recent Mario games that we've had since then. And this includes like other like outfits and stuff too. Give us a Cappy hat. Give us like a Flood backpack that we can wear. Like, give us like a little like Luma companion that'll just float next to your head or something. Like, they can go all out with these different things, whether they're decorations to put on your island or in your house, or official outfits. And they could do it for more than just Mario himself, but like representing the series. And I get excited thinking about like what kind of things we can do, and then in exchange there. Or rather, in turn, just how much you can theme up your island, and that could be so.
Oh my
much
gosh,
fun.
yeah! Like, what if you had like all the different nozzles for like the flood nozzles for Mario Sunshine, like the speed ones, so you can like run across the water like on the outside of your island? That would be so fun. we'll see if they're just like aesthetic, or if they actually provide something like that. But that would be a blast.
I think they would just be aesthetic, like the actual backpacks. But I would love that, because then who needs the run button? You can just have this flood button.
You can just bolt straight across your island.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That would be a blast for sure.
Yeah, like they can make use of the backpacks. They can make use of the things you can wear on your face, or different wigs, since they already have wigs in this game. So you can have all like the princess crowns and the wigs, and like Mario's hat and Cappy, or like think like the different kind of hats. They even have like Super Nintendo World, like the Chain Chomp on your head, or like the Bowser hood.
Yeah.
They can have all these different things, and there's so much they could do. And I really hope they don't undersell it with like, oh, here's like 10 Mario items.
Yeah, I hope so too. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. That'd be a pretty interesting kind of cross-promotion idea with Super Nintendo World. Like, have a lot of the same merch that you see there just in the game. That'd be kind of fun.
That would be really nice.
Like I'm thinking like, in addition to that, I'm thinking sort of about the Lego Mario sets and how there's sort of like obstacle courses that you can build and expand upon, and they each kind of have their own little kind of like obstacle or just their own little kind of gimmick.
Right.
Like there's one where you have to, dodge a fireball and that sort of thing. And I'm wondering if you could almost like build a little like obstacle course on your island, like kind of piece by piece, and design it yourself. Like it's a little Mario level. Like you have to time a little jump when the fireball comes, and then you have to whatever. Just like interactive elements would be really cool. I think, the more aesthetic elements would be great.
Yeah.
And would be good enough, but they could get really creative with it too, which is very exciting.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I really hope they do, because I think as excited as I am for this, there's a very easy way where they can sort of miss the mark with this, and that's by making it exclusively just more DIYs and decoration stuff. And while that's definitely still good, that's like low bar. Like they have to go. That's like the bar's set. We're already getting that stuff. We have to get more than that.
Right. Also considering, I mean, they started hyping this up in September.
Yep.
Which, I mean, I guess they haven't really been hyping it up since then. They pretty much just announced it and then didn't talk about it at all until just today. Yeah. But, the fact that they announced it so soon, and then they reiterated it in the update trailer today at the end with the Mario icons, like, hopefully there's more than just, the lowest bar.
Yeah.
But I do think that's possible, unfortunately, but hopefully not. So...
Yeah, I think there's really is a lot they can do for specifically just Mario. Like, in general, sure, there's a lot everyone really wants them to do to revamp Animal Crossing as we near the 1 year. But when it comes to specifically the Mario update, oh my gosh, there's so many things they could do that, like, I doubt we're even going to think to mention. Like,
oh, totally.
Like, we haven't even touched upon the fact that almost every update, or at least recently, has added, like, new emotions and animations.
Yeah, true.
Like for like the photo mode and things like that. And just think of the fun Mario ones they could do.
Oh, like that'd be awesome.
There's so much that could happen that, as you mentioned, this update really will determine like how the rest of the game's life will be. Because if they do this with Mario, are they gonna do this with like other like Zelda's anniversary, for example, and other bigger content updates like that? So. And
if you want to keep, get people excited and keep people excited about Animal Crossing New Horizons, like set the bar high with this Mario update, and then people will, we'll probably expect that from Zelda too, and whatever else down the line. Like, hopefully that does end up happening, but like, especially if they go all in with this here, it makes it exciting for the future. What more they could do as well. Yeah,
I mean. I think what I love about this is New Horizons, even though it definitely needs a little bit of an extra flair to it to bring more people back in at this point, because it's been almost a year. This by far really is one of the most solid Animal Crossing experiences in terms of just how much extra there is compared to prior games, the amount of things you can do. And in some areas it is lacking, but in smaller areas, and many of those smaller areas, it really has a lot more that's really exciting. I mean, this game has kept me on the longest of any Animal Crossing game so far. So.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, I agree. This is, for all that I talk about how I've sort of, I dropped off from New Horizons and I stopped playing it as much and that sort of thing. Still, it's important to keep in mind, like, this game kept me invested for way longer than pretty much any other game, most other games, let alone Animal Crossing or anything else.
Right.
Yeah, so that's definitely true. I've just got a couple more things.
Sure.
The first is, it's not that exciting, but I do think if this is something that they're going to add or change, now's probably the time. And that is, for me, like, the lack of major updates throughout the last year isn't really the primary reason I actually dropped off from the game. I'm pretty patient. Like, I'm willing to wait for bigger updates and, holidays and that sort of thing. Honestly, the main thing that really led to me just not playing the game as much was the lack of quality of life improvements that really would have gone a long way, that made the experience, unfortunately, just pretty tedious at times. Like, the lack of bulk crafting, unlimited storage space, things like that. Or, traveling to a friend's island takes like 5 minutes.
I do think they've tried to address a little bit of that. I think they actually added an expansion to storage in one of the recent
They added
updates,
an expansion.
But yeah, it's not unlimited.
But it's not unlimited. I can tell you, like, it was like a week, and then I was at the max again. And maybe that's just my organization skills. I just need to get better at figuring out what to discard. But I just think, like, I think a lot of the reason these issues were there to begin with, having to craft like one item at a time, for example, is because when they first made the game, they really leaned into the idea of this kind of laid back, slow island lifestyle, which I totally get. And, there's only so much you can do in your first, week of playing the game.
Right.
And I understand that, but I think the game already accomplishes that so much through how it presents itself, through the music, that I don't think it needs to be so reflective of that kind of slower pace in the gameplay. At least not now that people have been playing the game for so long. Because after a while, it just slows it down. And having to do certain things like, my axe broke, gotta go collect all the wood and recraft it and everything. To an extent, that's okay because, like, that's, like, the way life is. That's, you can't just magically get a new axe. Not that I think Animal Crossing should reflect life, but I think that realistic element is okay to an extent, like, of items breaking. But I just think, I don't know. It's just I
think
after playing the game for so long, I talk to my villagers less and less, which means I just kind of do those sorts of things less and less, and so I spend more time just kind of building and working on my island. Like, that's pretty much all I do in New Horizons now, just kind of building out my island and making it look nice. And so the more I'm doing that, the more time I'm spending on those tedious things that I would love to just see fixed. And I think the same probably goes for a lot of people. So just, like, now that we've played the game for so long, I think it'd be nice to kind of ease back on, or just add those quality of life improvements. It's been a year. I think it's time.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. And I think if they don't do that during like the 1 year anniversary / Mario update, it might be telling that they may not. But then again, I could also see it being something that they do near, like, the end of all their regular updates. Like, hey, we're doing one last big blowout update, and it's also going to have all these quality of life improvements. And on one hand, a lot of people would have fallen off by then. Who knows how far down the line that is, that it may not matter. But that also might be a neat time to do it, where it's after they've handled majority of their content updates. But I don't know.
Yeah. It's a good point. It's just like, for me, as much as they might add in this March update, like, even if they add some of these major things that we'd love to see, I just don't know how long it'll keep me invested before I just kind of fall back into the same pitfalls as before of just, like, okay, having to go back to those just before it just kind of becomes the same as what it is now, without those issues being fixed. And they're not even issues, they're just annoying things to have to deal with, that I understand having to deal with for the first, like, 2 months of playing the game, but after a while it's like, okay, so.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I think it just also adds testament to, instead of just dropping off the game and, oh, I wish I did these, it's still playing, hoping that these things come. I think that's telling too about how good the game is, in all honesty, that
it's true.
It's still playable and everyone still really loves it, even though it needs those quality of life improvements. Those would just, well, as the name implies, it would just improve the quality of life of the game.
Yep. Yeah. that's it. So Tris, do you have anything else?
The only other thing I have that I literally just wrote down, and it's just a funny little thing, is remember when I mentioned of the fun little things they could do, like decorations and outfits, and I mentioned like flood?
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't mention getting Luigi's poltergust.
Oh, that would be awesome. You're right, that would be great.
Just fun little things like that. It really is just, this is the update where they can go all out with the charm. We have this little festival update to kind of tide us over until then. No island pun intended with tiding you over, but I definitely think that it has the potential to be one of the biggest, most charming updates we've had to the game yet, and I hope it fulfills that.
Me too. I feel the same way. I really hope so. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it for my stuff too. I only have one more thing, which I feel like I just gotta throw out there.
Sure.
I just want new shops, new buildings, new anything. Like Brewster, like the coffee shop would be great.
That's really surprising
like
that isn't there too, because wasn't that like data mines like really early in the game?
Yes.
For the museum.
Yeah, and it's just for the museum. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, I mean it'd be great, you know, for this March update. Unfortunately, I only well, this would still be better than nothing. I only expect one new kind of building or shop type thing if they were gonna even do that.
Yeah.
I would like it. Just kind of, you know, I've gotten really into using simple panels on my island, like custom simple panels to kind of create like fake divisions to kind of separate up my island, like to make it look like buildings and stuff.
Oh, that's fair, yeah.
And it's like fun, but at the same time, it's kind of sad because it makes me realize how like, like I would just love some more shops or anything like that.
So what you're saying?
I know a lot of other people do.
So what you're saying is they need to add a Happy Home Designer update, so you can get all those like all those buildings from Happy Home Designer.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it for me. Tris, do you have any? Well, let me make sure. I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
So do you have any final thoughts?
Just that all this discussion served to do for me is get me really excited for March.
Oh, no. Yeah. I hope our expectations aren't too high. Yeah. We'll see, though. I mean, it's fun to be excited, as long as we know there's a possibility that it won't go anywhere. But hopefully it won't. Hopefully it will, I mean. Hey everyone, Chris here from the future with a couple quick additions, as of course we knew it was going to happen, but we came up with a couple more ideas for things they could add for the Mario Day celebrations, so just hear me out. Cat Mario, or someone else, as a cat villager, or Meowser as the tiger villager, or how about this, even better, Tom Nook dressed as Mario for Mario Day, which of course would pretty much just be Tanuki Mario. So yeah, think about that. Anyways, back to the video. Yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up for this discussion then. So thanks everyone for watching, and keep an eye out for potentially more information or more content surrounding New Horizons' first anniversary in the coming months. And also check out the videos on the right for more content that you might be interested in. And until next time, see ya.
Bye.